Hi, this is Jeannie from Trendy, and today I'm going to show you how to make this lemonade wreath. It was very easy to do. All the supplies came from Trendy, and we'll give you those SKU numbers. It turned out to make a pretty big wreath. It's about 30 inches in diameter. Okay, so just watch the video and we'll show you how to do it. Hi, this is Jeannie from Trendy, and today I'm going to show you how to make a decoupage mesh using some 10-inch mesh, and we have this real pretty metal lemonade sign. We're going to start out, all these supplies came from Trendy, and I'll give you a list of the items that we used, plus we'll have all these supplies in a kit. Now the kits will be limited in the amount that we have, but we'll have those on the website and I'll give you that link. But even after the kits have sold out, you can follow these basic directions and just choose different signs, different mesh, different ribbons, and create, you know, a similar project. This is a 24-inch pencil wreath. It has 18 twists on the wreath, and we're going to use 2 rolls of 10-inch mesh. This is a new mesh. It just came out last year, I think. I think it's called a snowdrift mesh. It's made out of polypropylene, but also has like some polyester or cotton or something else in it to give it this kind of little snowball or kind of a snowed look. There's 10, this is about 10.5 inches in width, and there's 10 yards on a roll. The number of it is RY810062, and we're going to use 2 rolls. It's not going to quite take all of 2 rolls, but it's most of all of 2. And the pencil wreath that we're using is 24 inches. Now, our 24-inch pencil wreaths measure 15 inches across the widest ring, but when you put your mesh, ribbon, and other products, you wind up with a wreath that measures 24 inches or greater. You could use a different color or different style of wreath for this. You could use a regular work wreath or even a different color. It wouldn't show. But this number is XX751102. The sign is made of metal, and it's about 12 inches wide, and it has a hole at the top and at the bottom, and we're going to use some floor wire or some chenille stems to attach that in the center of the wreath. And the number on it is MD0344. I picked out 4 different ribbons. I went ahead, I'm going to make just a couple of bows, I think, for this wreath. I went ahead and made 1 bow, and then I'll show you up close how I made the bow. But the ribbons that we're using are this polka dot lime is RX9143WW, and the yellow, this is what's called a watercolor stripe. It is RG014389, and this citrus ribbon is RG01273X7, and then the black polka dot is RG100002. We'll just lay that aside. The first thing we're going to do is cut our mesh. And we're going to do a ruffle technique. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut both rolls of mesh at the same time. This cutting mat is what's called a self-healing cutting mat. We don't sell these on Trendy anymore, but I'll give you our Amazon link for those. For that, it has measurements on it, and when you're cutting mesh, it really helps speed things up. And then we're also using this Fiskars 60mm rotary cutter. I'll give you our Amazon link on that too. But we're going to cut our mesh, we're going to cut 30-inch pieces. There's 18 twists on the wreath, so we need 18 pieces that are 30 inches in length. Carrie will be here to help me in a little bit. She's filling orders. It really goes a lot quicker when you've got 2 people working. Turn this over. Just let that mesh fall off in the floor. Okay, we've got our mesh cut. We had a little bit left on each row. We're going to do the ruffle technique. So to do that, I'm going to take a piece of the mesh. And of course you see it just rolls up naturally like that. I'm going to kind of smooth that out. And I'm going to scrunch up through the center of this 10-inch, of this 30-inch piece. Of course, this snowdrift mesh with the line, you can just scrunch right up through there on that white line. Just going to gather that up. Kind of makes a handful. But then I've got one ruffle. So I'm going to start on the outside. I'm going to open up a twist. And just secure that ruffle in that twist, and I'm going to twist that 3 or 4 turns, because for this wreath, this is all I'm going to put in this wreath, in the twist. Okay, Kara's here to help. She's going to help make some ruffles.
I'm just going to eat my crackers.
Well, go ahead and eat your cracker. It's lunchtime. And
My crackers later.
30-inch ruffle.
You always cut my head.
Well,
oh.
I was trying to show the tabletop.
Is this, what are we doing?
30-inch ruffle.
Okay.
Just putting a ruffle in each twist. And I've started on the outside. You can do ruffles lots of different ways. We used to always do 3 10-inch pieces, and then we saw Lori, hardworking mom. She has a YouTube channel. Well, I think she's got a website, and she made these long 30-inch pieces to help reduce the raveling. Of course, the more cut edges you have, the more raveling you will have. So we gave it a try, and for most of the mesh, I think it works pretty good. Sometimes if you got a real thick mesh, I like to go ahead and at least cut like 2 15-inch pieces. But this works out pretty good. You really can't tell any difference in the way it looks once you attach the mesh. So fewer cuts, less raveling. Now you'll still have some raveling no matter what you do. Mesh ravels, it does. And I'm going ahead and I'm giving these twists 3 or 4 turns, since that's all we're going to put in the twist, because I thought for this wreath we would just do bows instead of ribbon strips, but once we get started we might want to do some of both.
You already cut it?
I did. I've got it all cut, but I'll just let it fall off on the floor over here. I like this mesh. This is a great mesh. This is the first time we've used it on a spring-summer wreath.
Spring, right?
But we did it, we used...
Red bird.
Was it that?
It was that cardinal.
Cardinal? I thought it would be good for a snowman wreath, too. Of course, you could have used a white wreath, or a work wreath, or, black. This is a pencil wreath. And like I say, all these supplies came from Trendy. And we'll have all the supplies in a kit. But now once those kits sell out, we'll leave the tutorial up, because you could take the same tutorial and just pick out different mesh, different ribbons, different sign, and have a, have a wreath. This is an easy wreath to make. It's really easy for beginners, because when you're doing this ruffle technique, your pieces all come out the same. They're all the same size, so I'll just knock something off. takes a little longer to scrunch up that 30-inch ruffle.
Thick.
It's a handful.
I guess I can take my glasses off for that.
Working up a sweat.
What are you knocking
I don't
off?
know. I can't. I think that was a box cutter. I bet there's not too many walking around with box cutters in their pockets but
No.
us. We always have a box cutter handy.
Matt even uses them a lot.
I use them at home. I've been scared to death he'd accidentally take one to school.
No. Get kicked out.
I went to the hospital the other day and I happened to think box cutter was probably in my purse. You know, when you go through the emergency room and go through the
Right.
security. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, be sure and subscribe. And now we're fixing to start doing some YouTube live. We just got to get all the details worked out. But we'll be trying to do more videos. Our problem is,
Could be a child.
not having the supplies for us is not a problem. We have plenty of things to make tutorials out of. Our problem is getting the time to get the tutorial done. Excuse me. Of course, we have to. Our first priority is to get your orders out. So we're always trying to find a time after packages go out in the afternoon that we can try to do a tutorial. But it helps us. We like to show you how you can use the products. And wreath making is just so popular, and wreaths are really easy to do. If you're like me, I like to have a different wreath on my door every few weeks. I know that's, well, not necessarily every few weeks, but at least a season
What's on
change.
it now?
What's on my door? I have a brand new door. I don't have anything yet. Maybe this one. But you know, with that Easter wreath that you put on your door, there's been so many compliments on that wreath hanger, and we're out of those.
That gold, that scrolling.
Uh-huh. Lots of people have asked, even on YouTube, where did we get that wreath hanger? Well, we
They
sold
were a
them.
pain to ship.
They were. Well, we sold them. And of
We
course they're
sold them,
out.
but they were really wide.
Right.
We need to find one that's not quite so broad.
I was going to say, no, I wasn't going to say it. What you usually say instead of saying broad, something is big A.
Oh, not so big ass.
It was
It's a big ass wreath
It was
hanger.
a big A wreath hanger.
Right now, the Easter wreath has got a bird nest in it
Oh, that's right.
because a
Well, I
bird
wondered
keeps
why
flying.
you still had an Easter wreath on your door.
Because there's a nest in it. I don't want to mess with it till the
What kind of bird?
one that flies in the house when Maggie opens the door.
It's what?
The bird flies in the house when Maggie opens. It's been in the house twice.
How many eggs is in the nest?
I don't know. I didn't go out there and look. There's also a bird nest on the back porch. That's why I can't blow off my furniture back there.
Well, these eggs go eggs.
The eggs? Well, I know,
Eggs
but I
or
can't mess
hatch.
with bird eggs.
It's a mama bird will attack you.
Right. That's why I'm just.
I just need two more.
That's all I
Math came
got.
out right. And you can clip strings. You'll have to clip strings at the end. I mean, you can stop and do. Sometimes you have to clip part way through because things will get tangled up and you have to clip. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I need a couple of pipe cleaners for that. I've got the supply bucket under my feet over here.
For the sign?
So there's our wreath so far. Now we have put a 30-inch ruffle in each twist. I like that. It's looking good. Oh, I know what it was. It was the tape measure.
Oh.
Okay, so now if you wanted to, you could take those ribbons that I have and you could do ribbon strips. If you're not comfortable with making big bows, you can do ribbon strips. What I thought I would do would be kind of do a bow at the top and kind of offside, one at the bottom, but we'll put the sign on and then we'll go from there. Now the sign, it has 2 little holes in it, so we're going to put a chenille stem in each one. And you want your sign, you don't want to bury your sign too deep in here, and that's nice and metal. So we're just going to kind of lay it on top of the wreath, and going to take those chenille stems and kind of work our fingers down through there and get the chenille stem and secure it to the work wreath frame. Now, just have, this is kind of trial and error. Sometimes you have to kind of hang it up on the wall to make sure you kind of got it in the center and that you've got it tight enough. So I'm going to kind of hold it. Does that look about right?
Let me hold it and you look. I got it.
I always seem to have trouble getting that top one up high enough. Alright, lay it down, face down. And I'm just going to attach that chenille stem to the work wreath frame. I'm just going to kind of do it kind of loosely right now because I don't want to attach it too hard in case I have to move it around much. And once I know that that's where I want my placement for sure, then I can go back and secure it a little more. Okay, now once you're satisfied with the placement of your sign, you can secure it a little more, and it will help when you secure. I don't know if you can see it that well from here or not, but when you use your chenille stem, if you will attach it to a straight bar that's running up and down like that on your work wreath frame, it'll kind of help keep it from sliding around. Now, this is a bow that I made earlier using the Pro Bow, and I'll show you how I made this bow. But my thoughts were that I might just put a bow off to the side and then another one right down here on this wreath. So this is sort of what I had in mind, putting one large bow up here and then maybe put another one down here. And if I have some ribbon left over, we might fill in with some smaller ones if we want to. We'll just see how much ribbon we have left after we make the second bow. Now, for the bow, I'm going to move my camera in so you can see it a little closer up. We're going to try this. It's a little bit of a side view, but maybe you can tell more about what I'm doing. This is a Pro Bow. Now this is an older version. We sell the Pro Bow here at Trendy Tree, and the newer version has all these little holes and things labeled for you. Mine are just labeled with a permanent marker. Now we've chosen 4 ribbons, and I'm going to start out with one of the 1.5 inch ribbons. And we need some paddle wire, and we're going to need a couple of pieces of wire. So let me go ahead and cut that. You can make all sorts of different bows with the Pro Bow. There's all sorts of recipes by Regina Sellers, who developed the Pro Bow, and you can find those on YouTube, and of course you can find links on our website too. But we're just going to cut one piece of wire and lay it aside. This is just paddle wire, and just cut it with wire cutters. What I'm using is, this is Floorcraft. I got this at Walmart. This is like 26 gauge. But we're going to just lay that aside, and we're going to start out by using our pegs on the D line. This is kind of your starting point. This is a center post, and these little holes are labeled A, B, C, D, and E. So our bow is going to be a good 14-inch bow, which is 12 to 14 inches good for a wreath. So we're going to start with our first piece, and that's already cut at an angle. So I'm going to measure the tail for my loop. So I'm going to come out to about between the B and C, and I'm going to pinch this together. Just gather that up. Going to take that first piece of wire and wrap around that to secure it. Twist it a couple of times. All right, and then I'm going to take my ribbon face side and put it to the back of that post. I'm going to take one piece of that wire and I'm just going to wrap around the post. This is a wire that we're going to use later for wiring the bow together. And then there's a little nail at the back of this board, and I'm just going to go around that a couple of times, and I'm going to tuck that wire out of my way. So I have my ribbon. I have it positioned about halfway between this post, and I have my right side that away. So I'm going to take my ribbon, I'm going to go around that first post, bring it back to the center, right there where that wire is. I'm going to pinch that up, twist it, and then I'm going to go around the first post on the left side, come back to the center, pinch that up and twist it, and then I'm going to cut that tail off. But before I do that, I'm going to take that second piece of wire and I'm just going to thread it through my bow there. That's going to be my center of my bow. And I'm going to twist that two ends together. Now this is what I like to call my working wire, and I'm going to take one end and go just out the top of my board out of the way, and this to the bottom. And remember that little wire right there is for later. We're not going to use that. So now I'm going to come out to this side and I'm going to measure my tail. I'm going to cut between like the B and C. I'm just going to cut my 1.5 inch at an angle, and then I'm going to push that up that way. So now I'm ready for my next ribbon, and I think I'm going to use this 2.5 inch citrus. So I'm going to chevron the ends of that. Alright, I'm going to take it, measure my tail, which is between about the B and the C. I'm going to pinch that ribbon up. Stiffer ribbon is a little harder to do. I'm going to turn it and make sure that it's facing away from me. Hold it right there. Go around the second peg. Come back to the center. Pinch it up. Keep holding it. I'm going to twist. Get that right side of the ribbon up. Go around that second peg on the left side. Come back to the center. Pinch it up. I'm going to twist. And before I cut my tail off, I'm going to take that top wire and I'm going to take this bottom wire and I'm going to wire that together. Pull that tight. Give it a couple of turns. Put my wire back to the top, wire back to the bottom. Coming over here, measure for my tail. Fold my ribbon. Chevron my end. And put that loop out of the way. So, excuse me. I'm going to use, I need to make 6 loops and I only have 4 ribbons. So I'm going to use my black and white polka dot ribbon again. You can change this up. You can do that any way that you want to. Of course, you can make a loop bow. You don't have to make your bow this way. But in order for me to have 6 loops, I'm going to have to repeat a ribbon. So I'm just going to go ahead and repeat this black and white. So I'll go around the third peg, come back to the center, gather it up, give it a twist, go around the third peg on the left side, come back to the center, gather it up, give it a twist. I'm going to attach it, that working wire. Every time I make loops, I have to attach it with the wire. Then I'm going to come over here and measure, cut that ribbon. Okay? Now then, next I'm going to use this polka dot ribbon. It's also 2.5 inches. And I'm going to chevron the end of that ribbon. I'm just going to fold that. Make my little chevron and measure that tail. This ribbon is stiffer. I'm going to start that, pinch that up and start it. And then I'm going to make a loop around that fourth peg. Come back to the center. Gather that up. It's easy sometimes, especially if you have old hands like mine, if it's getting a little bit hard to hold, you go ahead and take that wire and just attach that loop while you're working on it. That makes it a little bit easier sometimes. Pinch that up, twist it. You want to keep stacking those ribbons right on top of each other. Go around that fourth loop, fourth peg, come back, pinch that up, twist it, take the wire, attach it. Then I'm going to come over here, fold. Okay, all right. So now I need to use another ribbon. I'm going to use this 1.5 inch watercolor yellow ribbon. So when I get out to these last couple of loops, I'm going to make my tails a little bit longer. You can do them any way that you want. Then pinch that. Keep stacking. I dropped my ribbon. Okay, pinch, turn, go around that fifth peg, come back to the center, twist. All right, take my wire, wire that piece of ribbon on. Okay, and then I made that tail a little bit longer. Alright, so now I've used all my ribbons once. I've used my black and white polka dot twice, so I want to use more green in this wreath, so I'm going to go back now for my 6th peg, and I'm going to use the green again. So I measure my tail. Let me go ahead and cut my chevron. Measure my tail, and I'm going to pinch. Stack that ribbon, go around that last loop. And since this ribbon is kind of stiff, I'm going to go ahead and tie that piece of ribbon on before I go any farther, just because it's a little bit hard to hold. Pinch that, holding it there, twist. Go around that last loop on the left side. Come back to the center, pinch. Twist, take my wire and wire that loop on. Come out, measure my tail, ready to cut. So now I've got 6 loops, 6 tails, well 12 tails. Alright, so now I'm ready. That's my working wire that I've been using to tie my ribbons on. So now I need to go back up here and take that beginning wire that I'm going to unwrap that from the top and take the piece that was around this little nail at the bottom. Alright, so now I need to wire this whole thing together. So you want to get that as tight as you can. I'm going to go ahead and take my pegs off, get those out of the way. You can see how that ribbon each is just stacked on top of each other. Alright, you want to get that kind of as tight as you can. Just don't cut your hands. But I just put those pieces of wire together and going to secure that a few times, and then you have these wires, and that's what you will use to attach your bow to your wreath. So now you've got all these ribbons stacked up, so now what you need to do is fluff out your bow. We have another thing to do for that. Let me get it. You can buy a fluff box when you, we don't sell the fluff box on our website, but Pro Bow the Hand does, and you can buy a fluff box from them. Mine is just a piece of wood, but you need something to secure your bow. It just helps to fluff it out a little easier. If you just got a little hook there that you can just slide your wire under, and then a little nail right there, and then you want to just fluff out your bow. And you want to just start with each layer of ribbon at a time, and if you pull your loops, you want to have your loops opposing each other, your tails opposing each other. So you've got a loop, and a tail, a tail. So on this next one, you want to move that next loop, angle it a little bit, and fix your ribbon where you got your loops and tails are opposing each other. Alright, and just keep working layer by layer. Just layer by layer. It doesn't get to be such a tangled up mess if you do it layer by layer. Just keep working those down until you get all your loops and tails separated. Okay, and then you can slip your bow off. Okay, and you've got your ribbon, your bow ready to go. If you need to shorten any of your tails or anything, you can, of course. Okay, that look great. Alright, so now we're just going to attach that bow to the opposite side of our other bow. Okay, so we took our second bow and just did it, opposite from the one on the corner. Now, there's ribbon left over. You can do, if you wanted to make a couple of more smaller bows and fill in, or if you wanted to do some ribbon strips, you can add as much or as little ribbon as you like. Okay, so we still had ribbon left over, so I went ahead and made 2 more bows. I did them the same way. I did the same size. I did alternate. You know, it takes 6 ribbons to make this bow. So instead of using the green twice, one time I used the citrus. You just have to alternate those. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and attach these other 2 bows to the work wreath frame. Okay, there's our wreath. After we finished it, we attached the other 2 bows. And if you need help in positioning your bows, you can always use the twist ties from the wreath too. If your bow rolls out too far or in, you can use the twist ties from the wreath to help secure that, or a little piece of floor wire. Now, this wreath measures about 30 inches, and we did still have a little bit of ribbon left over. So, like I say, you can add as much or as little ribbon as you like. You might just want to do a wreath bow and leave it at that. Or if you wanted to, you could leave off these big bows and do ribbon strips. Do ribbon strips all the way around. Okay? That's it. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, and if you would, follow us on Facebook. All the supplies came from Trendy, and I'll give you the list of those again. And thanks for watching. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.